Hi, Brother Tuckett. We are Team 3, and this is our Home Teaching Companion Application final presentation. I'm Ethan, and presenting with me today is Olin, Chandler, Brendan, and Brandon. All right, just a little update on the current status of our application. We talked on Tuesday, and we decided that we were about 80% complete with our application. We were able to implement, the server code was complete, the client code was partially complete. Some of the testing needed to be finalized, but the documentation was complete. Some of the specific topics we were able to implement into the application were client and server sockets, HTTP URL connection, Hibernate, JSON serialization, MVC pattern, and then threads, executors, runnables, and handlers.
Okay, so for our methodology, we use an agile methodology, mainly Scrum. So we had weekly meetings that we used to be able to dictate the actions that we needed to take. We had a product backlog. We used email communication for completed assignments and basically updates that we needed to have in order to fix certain things that were submitted that weren't quite correct. We also use Google Chat a lot for a lot of our communication purposes.
And we stayed on target for the most part. You'll notice here on our schedule, as we got to the model and control classes that we did take a little bit extra time on those. It wasn't a huge deal. It was mostly just missing one or two classes that needed to be done. But for the most part, we gelled really well together, worked well together, and got everything done that we had planned on doing. Sometimes that would involve a second meeting during the week. We kind of just played that by ear in what was needed that week for us to determine if we're going to have one or two meetings. But overall, we worked really well together and got everything done on time.
So some of the successes that we felt we had accomplished this semester, we communicated extremely well. We had weekly team meetings where we would communicate openly with each other, understand where we were having struggles, where we had succeeded, and things that we could do better along the way. We also had great meeting attendance. We did have a few people drop off from the class, but that's to be expected. But all in all, we had quite a good attendance week by week to get assignments set out, discuss our ideas, and figure out what we could do to proceed with our application. As far as collaboration, we spent quite a bit of time together actually in our team meetings discussing how to do the documentation, best ways to do our programming, discussing how we wanted to do our view layers, our view and model and control layers. We spent quite a bit of time discussing that so that we could get the application functioning the way we wanted it. And we put the trademark on this, but the BYU Idaho Teach One Another, we did that quite often. We had quite a few times where people outside of class would contact the others in questions regarding how best to proceed with their assignments if they had a struggle. So we definitely took the time to help each other in those moments. Not only on top of that, but we also did many sharing videos for each other and posted it to our community. We used our Google Plus community. I feel, or we all feel, very successfully. We were able to share messages with each other about our status and the team meetings and what we needed to do to move forward. And finally, our documentation, both on the application side, we all felt that we had that under control. A lot of us have taken the 262 class, and we felt that we are taking it now, and felt we did extremely well on documenting our application. Also, our team documentation, we felt that we were successful in that, so that if someone was unable to make a meeting for specific circumstances, they had a video to reference. They also had the team minutes to reference if they wanted to, as well as the Google Plus community and Google Hangouts to talk with classmates to see what they could do to help us progress.
So a couple of the opportunities for our team was that we feel that we didn't quite ask each other for enough help. Instead, we were focused on our own task, our assignment, trying to figure it out rather than trying to collaborate a little more with our peers as to what particular problems we were having. Additionally, as we had our own repositories for our portfolios, it would be good if we would have been able to share those portfolios with each other. That may have helped to speed along our own development and help us overcome our own particular issues on our code. Additionally, some of us feel that some preparation there for the meetings could have been improved in knowing what needed to be done, what we went over last week, just kind of going over what assignments will need to be done, what the agenda is going to be, what goals need to be achieved during the meeting. These particular objectives were accomplished during the meetings themselves, but I think having a bit of a better agenda, we feel a bit of a better agenda for what we want to accomplish during the meeting, and having that outlined before our actual online meeting time. But overall, we feel we had a very cohesive team in how we were able to interact with each other, and everything went rather well.
All right. So with all of our code review we're going to do here momentarily, we were actually able to get an APK to compile completely, which is a great success in my opinion. Sometimes when you take the code straight from Java and you put it into the Android Studio, you get a lot of problems. I had to disable a few of the classes in order to get this thing to compile, but here's our LDS Home Teaching app. We can actually provide you a download link for it right now. Just to get started, all these were the classes that we agreed to in the beginning of the product design, and each button basically is an action listener that executes a certain class when you click on it, or a certain function within the class. So this is the only one that works right now because, as you can see, I get buffer errors that I'm still trying to debug with this, but it'll download the First Presidency message of the month, and when you click on the view, because it gets replaced, it's supposed to open up the actual PDF, but in the emulator it doesn't let me download anything but the app I'm working on, so there's no default PDF on there. But when you try it for yourself with the APK, it'll actually open up the PDF on whatever your default PDF reader is. All these other ones right here, you can see I got some examples right here. Right here, this one is the member control. When you do the family assignments or the companionship assignments, this is what it calls up. You can see that we actually use the socket connect right here, and we use a buffer to put in, put out from the server itself. So you can see we also use a JSON right here as well. We also use a Hibernate configuration, so we can get that properly put into the SQL table as well. As part of the download I was going to show you, we use the HTTP connect URL connection to get that. And what it does is actually opens up the file on the server, creates a copy locally on your device, buffers in all that stuff into the local device, then closes it so you can read it. And we have cache exceptions here. As part of the download progress here, we actually have runnables and threads going on. It's the only way to get that progress bar to start working. Right here is what I want to highlight here. We have a handler for the for when it downloads, so it can update the progress bar, which is one of the things you need. The thread will run the same time it's downloading. That way you can have an actual live update. Otherwise, that's not going to work. And right here's our runnable. So that's just a little bit of under the hood that we have for there. For the most part, I think everything went great. Everyone coded awesome. And I'm just going ahead and turn it over to Olan here and see if he has anything else to add.
No, I'd just like to thank everybody publicly that this was a great team. We had a great project, and I feel we made wonderful progress. We helped each other out. We did excellent in communicating with each other, and I hope to work with you guys in the future.